your menu options and you would hit view alt text. And so if this is like an important image, then you want to have a description in there. If it is decorative, like just to make the presentation look prettier and it doesn't need alt text, then you can just click this mark as decorative option. And as soon as you put those changes in, when you go back to accessibility, it'll show you that it's been taken care of. One thing I have noticed is if you are going to create your content on Canva, there's an option in Canva to check accessibility. Because every piece of anything that you put on a slide shows up as needing an image description or needing alt text when you download it. But that's part of the reason that I'm here, is to help you all. If there's something that you don't know how to do or you're not quite sure of, if you can at least do as many of the accessibility pieces as you feel comfortable with, I follow up on the back end. So when you send your presentation materials to Alyssa, she sends them to me, and then I do an accessibility check of all of them. And I make sure that we have basically a folder of all of your presentations as PowerPoints that are available. So in case, for example, you bring your PowerPoint and it doesn't open, or you can't get yours to open, we have a backup that we can open for you. I also take that version that has gone through the accessibility check and I make a PDF copy of it. So if you all have agreed to share copies of your presentation with people, then the version that gets shared is the PDF version and not the PowerPoint version. So that just ensures that we have an accessible version as a backup for you all to use for your presentation the day of during your session, and that we also have a version of the PowerPoint that's in a PDF format that people can use as a resource after the fact. So just think about every time that you make a change to your presentation. So if you send it in, but then you need to make a change, make sure you resend it so that we can do another accessibility check and make sure that the final version of your presentation is ready to go. But I'll do a lot of the checks for you. It just helps me out tremendously if you've already gone through and tried to make it as accessible as possible, because otherwise, you're working on one presentation and I'm working on all of them. So it would really help me out. And then, Alyssa, have you talked about like best practices for when you're presenting, or is that something you're about to talk about?
I haven't.
Okay.
If you want to go into that, that would be great. And am I correct that the materials will be available on the conference website?
Yes,
Okay.
they will. I'm working on updating the website right now, so it's not available for people to look at yet, but my goal is to finish it up this week so that we can start getting resources on there that people will be able to look on there and kind of see what our scheduling looks like. So that'll be coming up. So you all will be notified, I'm sure, by Alyssa when that's up and running.
Okay. Are you able to or comfortable talking about best practices?
Yeah, for sure I can.
Perfect.
So with presentations, and this is something that you all might already know, so bear with me. For some of you, it'll be a gentle reminder, and maybe for others, it'll be, new information to think about. But either way, I just want us to all be on the same page, because we're going to have so many people in our sessions that have different disabilities and different needs. And we want to make sure that things are as accessible and user-friendly to them as possible. So when you're presenting, when you first start out and you say who you are, it would be really helpful for you to do an image description of yourself. So let me turn on my video so you can see me. So I would say, hi guys, my name is Rachel Kaplan. I am a white woman in my 30s. I have shoulder length dark brown hair and I'm wearing a gray long sleeve top. And it just gives people who are legally blind or completely blind the ability to kind of get an idea of who you are and give them a description. And then everything that you're talking about that's on your slide, if there's a picture that's very relevant to it, go ahead and describe that picture. If what you're describing is already, if the picture is something that you're already describing, you don't need to stop and describe it. Let me try and find. Okay, so for this page, there's this slide that I'm showing you. There's an image, and it's of somebody their profile, like just their head, the profile of their head shadowed out, and there are 5 different images coming from their brain to simulate the 5 different senses that people have. So there's a nose, there's an eye, there's an ear, there's a hand, there's a tongue, like a mouth with a tongue sticking out. And so if that's an important part of what I'm talking about, I want to make sure that I tell everybody that that image is on there and that I describe what it is. You don't have to get bogged down, but if it's something you're talking about and you don't naturally say it in the content of the slides that you're providing, you want to go ahead and give that image description. Because if it's on your slide, it's probably an important part of understanding what you're talking about or giving context, and you want everybody to have that context. I would also think about how fast you're talking. I know that you have a finite amount of time and a lot of content that you want to share. There are going to be people with processing disorders, and we want to make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to take in all of the great information that you're going to be providing to them. So just be aware of how fast you're talking. If you're using any kind of slang or acronym, please use the slang word and then I guess the more formal word is the best way to say it. And if you're using an acronym, make sure to spell that out and do that a couple of times, just because I think in the arenas that we work in, acronyms are just an everyday part of what we do, and that's not necessarily part of what everybody else does. Yeah, Alyssa just wrote in the chat that speed of speech also helps for ASL interpreting, and that's absolutely true. It helps the ASL interpreter who will be in the rooms with individuals who need interpretation, to make sure they capture everything that you're saying. If you are going to be breaking anybody out to do any kind of small group activity, I would give the instructions to the large group first. That way everybody hears it at the same time and they don't have to kind of battle with background noise, which can be really difficult for a lot of different people to focus, for a lot of different types of disabilities. And then just think about the activities you're doing. If you are going to be doing interactive things, making sure that everybody can participate, that the layout of the room makes it easy. Sometimes there'll be activities where presenters ask people to go, I don't know if you've heard of the 4 corners activity, but you'll go to whichever corner you resonate with the answer, with the questions that is asked. So if you're going to do an activity with that kind of movement, you just want to make sure that your room setup makes it really easy for somebody in a wheelchair or a walker or crutches or whatever they're using to get around, and to make that a pretty easy process for everyone to participate in. I'm trying to think of other things. I can't think. Alyssa, am I missing anything? I feel like I am, but I can't think of what it would be.
Yeah, not that I can think of. I think just more explanation can be better sometimes, if you're switching from PowerPoint to opening up Q&A, then I think you just say that, okay, we're done with the PowerPoint. Now we're going to go to Q&A. Does anyone have any questions? And I think I mentioned earlier that each room will have an April board member as your room monitor, and they can be your mic runner as well. So we'll need to be prepared for just kind of letting folks know what we're doing in the room, I think.
Yeah, and waiting for that mic to get to them before they ask the question, or if they ask it, don't answer it until they repeat it into the mic, just so you can ensure everyone hears them and then everyone can hear you.
Right.
I know that sometimes, not at April, but at other conferences that I've been to, presenters will decline to use a microphone for their presentation because they'll say, like, I speak really loud, people can hear me. Somebody with all of their hearing will be able to hear you if you're speaking loudly. Somebody who has like a cochlear implant or something else where they just don't hear very well, they're going to need you to talk into that microphone. So just make sure that you use the microphone if there's one available in the room, so that nobody gets left out of the conversation.
Yes, and there will be 2 wireless mics in the room. You know, if you move around a lot and you have to have a lavalier mic, let me know that. Otherwise, there will just be the 2 standard wireless mics. Go ahead, Stacy.
Do we need to have a PowerPoint? If our presentation is interactive, I typically do not use a PowerPoint because I'm doing more of a show and share with assistive technology. Can I not have a PowerPoint?
Yeah, absolutely. PowerPoints are not required. We just find that a lot of presenters tend to have them, so we just want to make sure we cover the bases as far as accessibility for that. But yeah, if you do not have a PowerPoint, then that is fine. You may likely get folks who are interested in the information after the fact. And again, you can, any material, or, even just if you're talking about your program and you have links to that for your own, website, just make sure we have that, and that will be posted to the conference webpage. And anything else, they might just want to talk to you about it later, and then you can get that person's information after the fact. And if you have other resources you'd like to share, you can, take their email and send that out.
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that was the piece that I was trying to remember. So thank you. Any materials that you're going to share, any links, we'll put those up. So if you have handouts or you even have a video that you're going to show during your presentation, then any handouts you have and any videos you're going to show, make sure you send us the links to those videos. Make sure you send us the handouts so we can put that all on the website. And we can also, that way we can also check the handouts to make sure the handouts are accessible as well. With videos, if you're going to show a video, make sure that it has the option for closed captioning, and you're going to want to play that video with closed captioning on. So if you're playing it from YouTube, you just, the little square with the CC button at the bottom, you're going to want to make sure that's turned on. And then we like to have a kind of an overview of the video for people, so that if they don't know, if they can't see and there's imagery that's really important in the video, then we can kind of describe that. Usually that's not on videos, so if we need to create that, we can. It just might mean that before you play the video, you might say, I'm gonna show you a 60-second video that shows somebody how to stop, drop, and roll if they catch on fire. So first they'll stop, and then a person on the screen will start rolling around to put the fire out. Just kind of describe what you're about to do or what's about to be done in the video, and then you can play the video. And that way people have some context for things on the screen that they can't see. But if you have questions about any of this afterwards, just feel free to reach out, because I know this is a lot of information all at once.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah.
Does anyone have any questions for us, or burning issues you're worried about?
Good afternoon. This is Sharif Brown from Alliance of Disability Advocates. I guess I have a twofold question. First question is, do you know what the maximum capacity will be for each room, so we know exactly how many handouts, if we are bringing handouts, that we're going to have this to make sure that everyone gets one? And then the second part of that question is that 5-minute window pre-entrance for all the rest of the participants that will be attending that session. Is that 5 minutes the maximum, or can we get allotted a little more time than that?
Yeah, yes, you can have, because we do build in, the first breakouts of the day will either be coming, after the general session or after lunch. So there will be the ability for you to get in that room earlier. And even, once we break from the first block, before we go into the next, there's a half an hour break usually. So yes, you can get into the room ahead of time. And as far as the room capacity, I will have to look that up and send you the specific, but the convention center side where the workshops will be taking place are quite large. I mean, I think the capacity is probably 75 to 100 per breakout room. So they're bigger than most of the, regular hotels, in quotes, because we're on the convention center side.
Okay, that's fine. That's not a problem. We have 1,000 ready to go, so that 100 won't be an issue.
Sorry,
All right.
I would add, we don't have
1,000 registered for the conference. So maybe that would be a better number to help you judge what you need.
Yeah, we anticipate having, 350-ish folks there. So I would prepare for probably at least 50 to 70 in your room. Although, I think I've already expressed to you that I think it will be a well-attended, it's an important topic. So you may get more attendees, but, maybe up to 75.
All right, that's not a problem. I would definitely make sure that we have enough to give out to every participant that will be attending, and then obviously word of mouth spreads. And I noticed just from prior conferences to where we will present, and then other people will come up to us after we presented and heard about what we were doing, and then they wanted more information as well. So I'll make sure that me and my team are stocked and ready to go with at least 400, because it said 350, so we'll bring at least 400 just to be safe.
Okay, that works. And then of course you can, after your session, you can always kind of drop some of your materials near the registration table where people will be coming by constantly. So, you can let folks know that as well. If they come up and they ask for, more information, you can just let them know that you put some pamphlets or whatever your material is, at the end of the registration table, and they can come by and grab that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody else have any questions?
No, you've answered all of mine. This is Gary Talley.
Wonderful. Well, I like that answer. Rebecca, do you have anything to add? Anything you want to let folks know?
no, just that I'll be
Wandering around, and if you need any help or have any questions when you're there, you can look for me, and I'll be well labeled so that you can find me, and I will pop into your presentation. So if you have any questions or any concerns or anything's not working, I will look forward to meeting all of you at the conference. And no, I think, Alyssa, you guys have done a great job.
Thanks.
Hi,
And I think I'm pretty sure that I did put both Rebecca's and my cell phone numbers on that important FAQ sheet for presenters. So we are always available. You can shoot a text if something is happening, and you need to get with us right away. chances are I will be tethered to the registration table. So I tend to be easier to find. I don't move around as much, but again, you have our cell phones, and so don't hesitate to reach out via text or call on, on those cell phones on site.
Melissa, I do have
Thing to add.
I had a
This-
question.
Yes.
This is Afton. So I'm visually impaired and, I shouldn't have any problem presenting, but with the Q&A, I might need, someone's help with just identifying like hands raised or something like that.
Yeah,
person-
that shouldn't be a problem, because the board member that's assigned to moderate the room will be aware to be, to be looking out for that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
And, and that is something that Rebecca will go over with the individual board members, just to make sure, they all know their duties.
The other thing I did want to add is that we are going to be asking through our page that Rachel is putting together for people to do surveys after every one of the presentations to give some feedback. And I would encourage all presenters to encourage their audiences to do that.
Yeah, that's a great point, Rebecca. I would actually maybe even open your session with that and then close your session with that. And just let them know, we also will let them know how important it is to provide that feedback on the presentation. And then you in the session can let them know how important it is to you as a presenter to get that feedback.
Are surveys going to be linked like in a QR code?
Is that how they were last year, Jordan? I can't remember. Well, and of course, again, I'm always at the registration table, so I don't get to go into the sessions.
I'm not sure
I
if that's
think
something-
they were.
Okay.
If they weren't, that's a great idea. And
We
they will
can make
also,
sure they are. That would
Right.
be enough to do. Yeah, we can have the link on the website and in the app, because we're going to use the conference app
Yeah.
again this year. So we'll have the links in there, but we can also make sure that each room has a QR code and that it's, labeled with what the session is.
that's perfect.
yeah. Rachel, did you want to talk a little bit more about the app for folks that haven't been to an April conference recently?
Yeah, I can. We are in the process of updating the app. So if you look for April in, either the Google Play Store, if you have Android or Google phone, or in the iOS App Store for Apple, I think what will pop up for you right now is the 2023 conference information, because we have to put all of the 2024 information for this year on the app. But it's just, instead of having to carry around a printed program and keep track of all of these different things, as an attendee, you'll be able to see the names and organizations and email addresses of other attendees. You can use the app to ask questions. We can send little reminders through the app of, hey, your session just ended. Make sure you fill out the evaluation form, or make sure you fill out your end of day evaluation form. We can send little messages through the app. It's where you'll find the agenda. Everything will be linked, so you can go to the day that you're looking at, all of the different sessions. You'll be able to see what room the sessions are in. There'll be a map on the app of the different areas of the hotel to make it easier to kind of orient and find stuff. It kind of helps answer your questions if you're not at the registration table to ask Alyssa in person. It's kind of like you're in your pocket on the go, Alyssa, if you want to think of it that way. If you have a question, if you need to find a QR code, if you need to find an evaluation link, like anything that you're looking for materials wise or conference schedule wise, it's going to be on that app. It's a free app to download. And we'll put out an announcement when that app is updated as well. That's something that I'm actively working on.
Yeah, thanks, Rachel. And
Yeah.
I know that we will have QR codes available at the conference as well to download that app. And I mean, it's really a really great resource. I'm so glad that we have it. Because I think, Rachel, am I correct that you can like go into the schedule and, you know, like pin the sessions you want to attend and, you know, so that you build your own personal schedule.
Yes, you can. So it makes it easier. So then instead of having to look through everything again, you can just look at your schedule that you've chosen.
Yeah, it's really comprehensive. It's just such a great feature that we were super excited to unveil last year in California. And again, we will have far and wide, you know, QR codes posted around to be able to download the app on your either Android or iPhone. And you can, and it's also a great resource for you to, you know, direct people there as well. If they, you know, maybe don't go, you know, they don't want to type in and go to the April website conference page, they'll just have that app right on their phone and they'll be able to find everything they need there. And it came in handy, you know, like someone put out a message that they had gotten food poisoning at like one of the restaurants near the hotel. And so everyone was able to avoid eating there. So yeah, it's really quite handy. Does anyone have any other questions? Rachel or Rebecca, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't.
I can't
Okay.
think of anything else. If it comes up though, I'll let you know and you can send an email out, but I think it's more going to be when you all have questions as we get closer, how can we support you and answer them?
Yeah, and the only other thing I'll just mention really quickly is, and I don't anticipate, you know, if you guys have things that you want to ship to the hotel, that's going to be, you know, there's specific protocols for that. So let me know and I can make that happen. And then of course, if there are any other AV requirements outside of what we provide, you know, I can connect you with the AV contact that if there's an additional cost, that would be your responsibility. But there will be, you know, Wi-Fi down in the convention center. And again, the 2 wireless mics, screen and projector. You will need to bring your own laptop ready to go if you have a PowerPoint or other presentation. And of course, if you have any questions, we are all available. Don't hesitate to reach out with any of it. And we are super thankful to have a really great, I think it's a fantastic slate of workshops this year. So I appreciate you all submitting, you know, really, really great workshops to choose from. You made it difficult for us to you know, fill the slate, and because there were so many that they were just all so great. So I appreciate that. Any questions before we end it? And I give you back 20 minutes of your day. You're welcome.
This is Gary again. I will need a lavalier mic for my presentation.
Okay.
I do tend to move around a lot.
Okay. Duly noted. Okay. Well, and if, you know, as you go through and we get closer to any, you know, if anything comes up, just let us know and we will do our best to work it out. And Rachel, Rebecca, thank you so much for joining and all the information you provided. And we will see you all in Chicago very soon.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Thank you so much.